Welcome to Ireland, and especially welcome to the city of St. Patrick, otherwise known as Armagh. This is the ecumenical capital of Ireland, and behind me you'll see the first site of the original stone church that St. Patrick built in 445 AD. It might represent what you think the legend is of St. Patrick, but it's a far cry from where he started. It's lost its meaning and it's lost its value. And so today I want to give you a glimpse of the true meaning and value of what St. Patrick was, who he was, and what he brought to this beautiful island of Ireland. What is your view of St. Patrick? Who do you think he was? Does he represent you wearing green, white and gold and shiny clothes one day a year? Does it represent having a green pint of beer? Or do you understand the true meaning? St. Patrick was brought up in northeast England, but his early life doesn't represent the man you know today. In his own words, he was swayed a little towards the wild side, and so he was a little bit crazy, which maybe in Iowa you like and I like. But at the age of 16, his life took a drastic and sudden change when he was captured by Celtic pirates and brought to the lovely land of Ireland. He was then taken and sold to a Druid chief named Miliach, and that's where the story begins. For the next 6 years, Patrick worked as a cattle herder for Miliach the Druid. We're at Navan Fort, which was the home of the kings of Ulster, which was the kings of the Druids. They were in charge of everything that happened in the lands of Ireland and the different territories. But it was in this wilderness experience, when he was out on the hills with the cattle, that he would describe what he had as a natural revelation. What does that mean? That means that as he looked at the stars at night, as he looked at the scenery around him and the smells of the cattle and the different things that were happening, he said to himself, there has to be more than this. There has to be someone greater than me. And it was there that he discovered a relationship with the one and only true God. It's there that he realized there is something in my life that is trying to get my attention, and he started to pray day and night. In the words of Patrick himself, he said, after I had arrived in Ireland, I found myself pasturing flocks daily, and I prayed a number of times each day. More and more, the love and fear of God came to me, and faith grew, and my spirit was exercised, until I was praying up to 100 times a day, and in the night nearly as often. I want to ask you a question today. What does God need to do to get your attention? Or maybe, what has God been doing to get your attention? 3 things happened in Patrick's life. Number 1, Patrick's life changed in such a way that it was visible to everyone around him. The second thing that happened is that he grew to understand his captors. So he knew their language, he knew their culture, and he knew their ways. This was no mistake. And the third thing that happened was that he grew to identify and love his captors. The God that he was now in relationship with started to break his heart for the people that were around him. It was in this woeful isolation in the wilderness with the sheep that Patrick took time to grow from a careless boy to the holy man that we know now. And it was in this time that he decided, I want to hear your voice, God, and he sought God day and night. Do you want to hear God's voice? Because you know that God wants you to hear him. He's a God of relationship, not of religion and not of rules. And he wants to speak to you today. And that's what he'd done with St. Patrick. It's in that time in the wilderness that St. Patrick heard the voice of God. And this is what it said, your time has come, get up, get ready, there's a boat ready for you, you're about to be free. So Patrick got up from his dream, he walked 200 miles. He didn't even have a GPS, he didn't have a wife beside him telling him where to go. And he got there. He reached the shore, and the ship that he'd seen in his very dream was waiting for him. He said, I go in the strength of God, I have nothing to fear. What a way to live life. Can you say that you live your life like that? Do you have the presence of God that takes away fear, that gives you a peace, that even more importantly gives you confidence in what you're doing and what you're called to do? When Patrick got to the boat, they said to him, there's not a chance you're getting on. This boat is far too full. But St. Patrick, it didn't deter him. He walked off and he just started to pray. And he said, God, I've been led here. What are you going to do about this? As soon as he finished praying, one of the sailors came running up behind him and he said, stop, wait. You can get on the boat. The captain says, we'll take you in trust. Having God in your life can be one of the most exciting adventures you could ever go on. just like St. Patrick had started as he started to walk through Ireland. But it also has its struggles and its hardships. The difference is that Patrick had God's perspective on the situation that he was facing. Do you need God's perspective in situations that you're facing today? Because I promise that if you ask him, he's going to show up and give you the right perspective. We're at Saul's Church in Downpatrick, County Down, Northern Ireland. And this is known as the cradle of Christianity. This was the place that St. Patrick was able to set up the first Christian gathering. But it was only made possible because of his decision after slavery to go into the priesthood, to follow the dreams of his heart from when he was a younger boy. So he went into the priesthood, he then became a priest in England for many years, and then he retired. Well, that's what he should have done, and that's what he was expected to do. But God had other ideas, because God was still speaking to him and still wanted to use him even in his old age. So when he was supposed to retire, St. Patrick had a dream. And in the dream, he heard the Irish masses saying, "We appeal to you, holy servant boy, come again and walk among us." And it was in that moment that St. Patrick went from Patricius, the escaped slave, to St. Patrick, the apostle, the sent one by God to the Irish nation. He was coming to bring hope and life to this amazing island. God was calling him back to a barbaric nation of unsophisticated, uneducated, uncivilized people that no one else wanted to touch, that Christianity had never went anywhere near. But in his own words, he said, "I am the most unsophisticated of people. I am the least of Christians. And for most people, I am despicable. I was the chief of sinners. Why would you call me back?" He asked, why me? He was normal. He lacked confidence in his own ability, but he had the greatest of faiths in the one who had called him back, the one who had spoken to him in a dream. His ministry would change a whole nation. One writer said that while Roman lands went from peace to chaos, the land of Ireland was rushing even more rapidly from chaos to peace. What drove Patrick to do this? Why was there such a massive change in a barbaric nation? How come it was moving forward in peace? Patrick said this, "Every day I am ready to be murdered, betrayed, enslaved, whatever may come my way. I want to know why." But I think it's because of the vision that he was given, the dream he was given, the heart he was given for the people. God changed his life and he wanted the people in Ireland, who he called his sons and daughters, to experience the true and living God. That's what brought change to this nation. That's what set this island apart from any other island at the time and brought Ireland back to life. The key to Patrick's success was that he didn't come into Ireland and try and bring Roman civilization with him. Patrick came in knowing what it was like to be a slave and wanted to not change the people's culture, but teach them a new way of thinking, a new way of leading, the God perspective that I've already talked about. He came in and started telling stories from the Bible because the Irish love stories. The Irish love storytellers, and most of them couldn't write, so everything was passed down in stories. By doing this and by creating friendships, Patrick didn't have to convert people. Patrick, through his love and relationships, was able to win people for the kingdom because of the love, the compassion, the generosity. Everything that they seen in him was evident from the God that was living within him. He taught the Irish how to dream again. He gave them an identity again. And that is what made the church grow in St. Patrick's Day. We're at the resting place of St. Patrick in Downpatrick, County Down. He might be dead, but the legacy lives on. Because what Patrick didn't know is that at the start of everything, God was setting him up for an amazing future. During his capture and his captivity, God had his hand on absolutely everything that Patrick was doing. He was shaping and moulding a young man for a great future. He learned the language of the people around him, their issues, their ways, but most importantly, God broke the heart of St. Patrick for the people of Ireland. They needed breakthrough, they needed release from captivity, and that's what St. Patrick was here to do. And it's the same with God today. He wants to take the most unlikely of people. He wants to take their lives and he wants to make them burn with zeal and passion for him and for his kingdom. The legacy of St. Patrick can still live on today. It can live in people like you and me, just like St. Patrick, people who dare to dream, people who dare to dream of a future that's different and walk in the unknown and say yes to things that have yet to be done. So if St. Patrick were here today, what do you think his message would be to us? What do you think the thought of the day would be from St. Patrick? I think it would be something like this. Be the change that you want to see in the world today. Do something about it. Stop waiting for others to do something about it. He was a man who had a dream, he had vision. He believed in the words, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ all around me. And I think he would agree very much with the statement that we should live for a future that asks something of us today. Are you willing to ask God for his perspective? Are you willing to say, God, what's your dream for my life? Are you willing to say yes to a relationship that will change the rest of your life?